minifigure from the upcoming UCS Jabba sail barge just leaked, and the people are not happy about it. When comparing it to the older version of the same character, Reddit, Twitter, and Instagram unanimously hate it, with M&R Productions even calling out the LEGO Star Wars character and graphics designer by name, and claiming that this figure epitomizes LEGO's degradation of quality since 2015. So what happened? Why do people care so much about Salacious B Crumb of all figures? Well, it's all got to do with his pupils, or lack thereof, and what this design decision means for LEGO minifigures going forward. There's also probably some holdover frustration from the clone helmet holes, print opacity issues, helmet printing, and printed waistcape decisions they've made recently, which is all contributing to a growing negative sentiment towards LEGO minifigure quality. It's the glup that broke the shitto's back, as it were. Specifically with this figure though, we see a continuation of a trend that officially started with the Death Star throne room diorama, wherein Palpatine's face print was updated to remove the black of his pupils from his Sith eyes. I don't think anyone liked that change, I certainly didn't. And when LEGO doubled down by doing the same thing again with the Darth Maul minifigure in the newest Sith Infiltrator set, that's when I think people started getting a bit angry. But minifigures have had these white pupils and coloured eyes since like 2012, and for the most part, nobody really had a problem with them. It's LEGO applying this design to characters with Sith eyes that is new and extremely frustrating because they are straight up downgrades. The significance of this minifigure no longer having black pupils is that this is no longer just a change to the Sith eye prints. This is every eye print going forward, whether they're Sith, human, or a wacky little alien guy. Salacious B Crumb should have black pupils. This is uncontestable, like you just can't argue with that. There's no justification for this decision, it's just dumb. And if LEGO have decided that he doesn't get black pupils, then surely that's pretty much the end of black pupils altogether. Characters like General Grievous, Pong Krell, Watto, Coleman Trebor, Savage Opress, and potentially even Newt Gunray, Zeb, or Jabba could all be future victims of this decision. Gollum from the Lord of the Rings Barad-dûr set is also already a victim of this, with LEGO making his face print substantially worse than the 2012 versions of him. If they aren't going to make the obvious exception for him or Salacious, I can see why they would for anyone else going forward, and honestly, that sucks. So why did they make this decision? What's the logic here? One theory I've seen is the same thing that people always like to point to when a change like this happens, and that's money. The idea that LEGO are looking to cut corners at every opportunity, and by not printing that final black dot, they'd save like 2 cents per figure or something, and that's a worthy trade-off for them. To be blunt, this is ridiculous. If LEGO were so concerned with the cost of ink on these figures, then why would the number of figures with printed arms be increasing over the last few years? If they're gonna cut corners like that, surely removing an entire arm's worth of ink across multiple colours would be a cleaner, less obvious, and more efficient way to do it. Moreover, removing just the pupils makes no sense because minifigures aren't printed feature by feature. They're stamped on colour by colour in layers. So removing the pupils from the final black layer would be completely negligible cost-wise. Like, you're not even getting the pad printer to do less work, it's purely just that tiny drop of ink. All at the expense of so much quality to the figure. Like, if they really wanted to cut corners and they didn't want to get rid of their pupils, do you really think that's where they'll start? Not every bad decision is related to greed. Sometimes they're just bad decisions. The only statement about this from LEGO themselves comes from an extract from the Force of Creativity book, wherein they explained that the old way of doing Sith eyes was inconsistent with the official minifigure guidelines, and as a result needed to be changed while they were designing the 2023 Palpatine minifigure. What exactly these guidelines were wasn't specified, nor was it explained why they've only decided to read these guidelines now, after 12 plus years of doing Sith eyes the good way, but whatever, fine, the guidelines say so. Except the 2023 Palpatine was not the first Sith to undergo this change. The Grand Inquisitor in the Inquisitor Transport Scythe was the year before. His 2015 version had the proper Sith eyes, then they updated them to be the same shitty white pupiled version despite having Sith eyes in the show. That change went under the radar, probably because everyone forgot about Kenobi the second it finished, and as a result they didn't feel the need to explain it away. But people did complain about Palpatine, and suddenly there's a whole backstory with some mysterious, faceless guidelines to scapegoat for the decision. How convenient. Claybricks, a moderator for the LEGO Leak subreddit, theorized that this guideline is that no figure should have pupils, with the idea being that the white circle on the black print is supposed to be a glint of light reflecting off their black eyes, similar to how they did the white in Mickey's eye print, or even just how dogs' eyes are in real life. I guess the logic is that if the Sith get pupils, then it's inconsistent with every other minifigure who only gets this reflection. I don't know, and I don't really care about the specifics to be honest, because in every game and every movie put out by LEGO since minifigures had this glint, they had it act as and be animated as if it were their pupil. Plus, if you ask 1,000 people what they think the white part is, pretty much 1,000 people would say it's their pupil, because that's just how people perceive it regardless of the original intent. If LEGO's official minifigure guidelines specify otherwise, then not only have they never been following them, but LEGO themselves are just wrong and don't understand their own product. But fine, let's assume LEGO are telling the truth completely. Well, even if they just found out about these guidelines and they feel like they have to follow them now, they wrote these guidelines for themselves. There's absolutely no reason why they can't can't rewrite them or simply decide to not follow them if that means their product would be objectively better as a result. They're voluntarily crippling themselves for literally no reason, and they've somehow made it nobody's fault and nobody's decision. It's as if there's this faceless, omnipotent force making their product worse, and there's nothing that can be done about it. It's just the way it is now because the guidelines say so. It's bullshit. It's a terrible change made for, at best, an arbitrary reason that serves absolutely no purpose other than making minifigures look worse. I desperately hope that they change their minds sooner rather than later, and it's a shame that Salacious B Crumb had to be a martyr for this cause. So yeah, I just wanted to rant about that for a bit because I'm seeing the situation develop and it's really frustrating. Thanks for watching, and farewell.